the parents of the girl for having accepted to give out their daughter for marriage and for accepting their suitor into the family.
Yeah, thank you so much, Esther. So we are talking about bride wealth, which has turned into bride price, where people take different things in form of money, cattle, foodstuffs, goats, chickens, spears, backcloth, local beer. You know, there are some societies where you have to take a big saucepan, a spear, a backcloth. They don't necessarily need the foodstuffs. Now, these days, people have really taken it at another level. They bring anything. Remember, this bride wealth is a cultural thing. And those days, the parents of the bridegroom would meet the parents of the bride-to-be. And just in a sitting room, you talk, you agree on what to bring, and then that will be it. But now that the economy has been monetized, it has changed to bride price. Because in some societies, you'll be told to bring money. Even the cows, now these days, even the cows are converted into money. Someone says, I want 10 cows, but each cow is 2 million shillings. So that means that you have to look for the money worth it, 10 cows. And then you do what? You do you hear me? Hello?
Yes, teacher.
So we can hear.
Okay, thank you. Praying for network. And at times it's on and off. So I was saying that due to our economy, where everything has been monetized, these days when they ask for something, you have to convert it to money. You have to convert it to money, and there you'll be able to appreciate the parents. Okay, let's go to another slide. Let's have someone to read for us. Yes, Eric.
Bride wealth, however, is different from dowry.
Dowry refers to a price paid by the relatives of the bride-to-be to the relatives of the bridegroom-to-be. For example, among the Indians and West Africa in Nigeria, and also in Western Uganda, dowry is at times from both families, that is the bride and the bridegroom's side. Dowry acts as a starter's kit for the new family. According to the Muslims, dowry refers to the presents given to the bride by the bridegroom. The bride asks what she wants from the bridegroom. It can be in the form of jewelry, car, money, and house, among others.
Okay, thank you, Eric. So we are saying that bride wealth is different from dowry, and you should not confuse the two. Dowry refers to a price paid by relatives of the bride to the relatives of the bridegroom to be. For example, among the Indians, we have societies like Indian and West Africa, Nigeria, and Western Uganda, where that happens. So dowry is at times from both families. The family of the bride may choose to give, or the family of the bridegroom, or both families give. So it acts as a starter's kit for the new family. Then we have the Muslims. The Muslims dowry refer to the presents given to the bride by the groom. So the bridegroom asks the bride what she wants. The bridegroom is able to give what he can afford to give. So there are those ones who give money, some give cars, some give houses, or some even take the bride to Mecca. So that would have been your dowry. So it differs from society, and please don't confuse the two, bride wealth and dowry. Let's have someone to read for us the importance. Esther, you forgot your hand up. Maria?
Importance of bride wealth. It serves as a compensation for the service the girl has been rendering to the family, that is, cooking, water, firewood, among others. It is a sign of gratitude, appreciation, saying thank you to the parents of the girl for their endeavor in bringing up for them such a good wife. It acts as a marriage seal. It is like a certificate of marriage. It reflects the marriage covenant that the two are to stay together for life. It can be compared to the wedlock in Christian marriages. Payment of the bride price is a sign of seriousness for the marriage and a proof that love is not an empty talk. It shows the girl's family that the man would be able to look after the girl and meet all her needs. Bride wealth helps to minimize divorce and to keep marriage strong, because if marriage breaks up, it means a return of the bride wealth to the husband. But since this is quite difficult, in most cases, Most partners treat each other fairly so as to avoid misunderstandings and quarrels. The bride wealth makes marriage recognized, honored, and respected by members of the community. Since it is supposed, excuse me, since it is supposed, by members of the community, since it is supposed to be solemnized. The ceremony of the payment of bride wealth is one of the events to many families that bring together all relatives long lost in distant places as they come together to share the joys in feasting.
Thank you so much, Maria. The first one, we already compensation of the services that the girl has been rendering to the family. So since the girl is leaving home and going to her husband's home, the bride will, like a compensation, they're trying to compensate the parents because their daughter is leaving and yet the daughter has been doing too much for them. So that one acts as compensation. Then we talked about thank you, appreciation. We've already talked about appreciation, appreciating the parents of saying thank you for bringing up this wonderful daughter of yours. Then it acts as a marriage seal. It is like a certificate of marriage. In some societies, if you have not paid bride wealth, then your marriage will not be taken serious. They will not consider you married until the one you're cohabiting with has paid bride wealth. Otherwise, if it doesn't, then you just know that your marriage is considered void. So we say it is a certificate of marriage. It is compared to wedlock in Christian marriages. Once you paid bride wealth, you're considered married. Then number 4, the payment of bride price. Bride wealth is a sign of seriousness for marriage and a proof that love is not empty talk. It shows the girl's family that the man would be able to look after the girl and meet all her needs. Yeah, that one you already talked about it. So it is one of the ways that that man is serious. He wants to stay with that girl the rest of his life. Number 5, helps to minimize divorce and keep marriage strong, because if marriage breaks, it means a return of the bride wealth to the husband. But since this is quite difficult, in most cases, both partners treat each other fairly so as to avoid misunderstandings and quarrels. There are those societies, once you break up after paying the bride price, the bride wealth, you bring back what was given to you. So if they are cows, you bring back the cows because their son has broken up the relationship with their daughter. So you take back what was given. So in order to avoid that, the couple has to harmonize whatever happens to them. You have to calm down And of course, chill and you move on. Avoid taking back bride wealth. So your parents have to be, we have to be careful while they ask for too much. Because now you young people these days, it is not easy. It is not easy for you to keep long in marriage. So you have to be careful. While your parents, you have to be your parents. We are saying that it minimizes, to finish that one, bride makes marriage recognized, honored, and respected by members of the society. So people will respect you. People will recognize your marriage simply because you paid bride well. It's not like cohabiting. From campus, you go to a man's home. Now, who will know that you're married? But once the man pays bride well, your marriage will be recognized. But if from campus you can't start living with a man, just know that you're cohabiting and your marriage, you're staying together is not recognized until your fiancé pays bride wealth. The ceremony of paying bride wealth is one of the events to many families that bring together relatives. I think you have seen that. Many people come together, even those ones that you have taken long without seeing in years. It is one way of bringing together all family members to share the joy as they feast, as they thank God that their daughter is going for marriage. Okay. Let's have someone to read for us. We are continuing with the importance of bride wealth.
Yes,
Marilyn?
as it was going to be awarded.
Marilyn, you can read for us.
So I'm starting from number 6.
Yes.
Okay. Bride wealth gives bridegroom legitimate authority over his wife.
Sorry, Marilyn, you can unmute and continue.
Okay. He becomes responsible for her well-being as well as those of his house. He has a right to produce children with her. Number 7, it is a source of wealth to the parents of the girl who gets animals and food. It thus helps to cover the gap of poverty in the family when it is paid. Number 8, it is urged that curses from relatives can be averted. If the relatives are not given their shares, it is believed that they have the power to curse the couple and their curses are effective. Thus, to avert all these, bride wealth has to be given. Number 9, bride wealth adds value and respect to the wife from the husband because of the wealth he had to pay for her or forego before getting her. Shows the girl's family that the man is able to look after her needs. This makes the man not to be despised by the girl's parents. Then the last one, bride wealth acts as an opportunity for the man to express his love for the wife before the public. Yeah.
Thank you, Marilyn.
You're welcome.
Welcome, teacher.
So we are saying that this helps the bridegroom to have authority over his wife. So he totally becomes responsible for the well-being of her wife after paying bride wealth. And of course, he's now free. They are now free to have children. Then number 7, source of wealth to the family of the girl. It is source of wealth, and this is because when the things are brought, for example, if they've brought animals, the cows, the parents of the girl will be able to rear those cows and get milk and sell the milk. So it will be like a source of income to the family. And so it will cover the gap of poverty. If that family was not well off, at least they'll have something to get money from. Then 8, the curses from relatives. I think you are aware that some families, you cannot just take everything. You have to share, and some people want to share equally because they have seen that the bridegroom has brought things. They want the parents of the girl to give them equal share, which is at times unfair, especially if those relatives didn't take part in bringing up the children. You also know what happens these days. Even people, the singers, the paternal aunties have not contributed so much. They do not contribute so much to the well-being of the girl, but they benefit more when bride wealth is paid. So we have to give them their share to avoid curses. And then 9 says it adds value and respect to the wife from the husband because the wealth he had paid for her or for a girl before getting her shows that girl's family that the man is able to look after her needs. Yes, we already mentioned that before the slide. Acts as an opportunity for the man to express his love for the wife before the public. People are able to tell that now this one is hers, this one is his. So they are able to show their love, and people have to appreciate that. So we're on the next slide. Let's have someone to read for us.
Importance of bride wealth.
Yes, Rebecca. Rebecca, have we lost you?
Oh, importance of bride wealth. Should I read the point too?
Yes, read the point.
It empowers the groom to control his wife fully. It shows the seriousness of the groom as he struggles to raise it. He pays a price for his wife.
Next.
It helps the brothers of the girl to marry 2, since the same wealth could be paid to the parents of the brother's wife. Then point 13, payment of buried wealth is one way of sharing with the departed or the living dead. Among most of the African tribes, alcohol is poured on the ground. Blood of the animals killed goes to the soil to show that they take part in the occasion. This is because they are still members of the society and may influence the life of the couple. Thus, buried wealth offers religious significance.
Number 14.
Then, if buried wealth is paid, it assists the man to avoid legal implication in case the woman dies. The customary laws recognize her. However, if she dies when buried wealth had not been paid, a husband is not allowed to bury the body. If he buries it, he may be forced to exhume it and pay whatever amount of money or buried wealth, twice as much as he would have paid if the person was alive.
Lastly,
Then 15, buried wealth acts as an investment of the family of the bride. Such wealth provides support for the parents when they become too old.
thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
So when a man pays bride wealth, it means that he has control over his wife. And having control doesn't mean that you're going to treat your wife as property. Some even think that they are fit to beat, to do anything, because they have paid bride wealth, and that is wrong. So we are also saying that it helps the brothers of the girl to marry. So if the girl gets married before her brothers, the bride wealth that has been brought, especially the animals, you find that those very ones, all the offsprings of those very animals will be taken when the brother of that girl is getting a wife for himself. So it helps. Then we are saying it is one of sharing with the departed or the living dead. So there are those cultures who believe in that. You find that they'll pour alcohol on the ground or blood of the animals that they have killed for that function, to show that even those ones who died, the faithful departed, are also part of it. And for them, it is a religious significance. And then when a man pays bride wealth, it is to avoid legal implications. In some cultures, even if you have stayed with a woman for 40 years, but when you have never paid bride wealth for that woman, you will never bury her as a husband. Like, remember we said it was one way of recognizing your marriage, respecting it and honoring it. So if you stay with a man for years and then that woman dies, the relatives of the woman will come for the dead body, because it shows that you have never belonged to them. Your wife has never belonged to your family. Therefore, they take away the dead body and bury it at their home. So if the man really wants to bury the wife at his home, then he must first pay the bride price, and then you're free to bury your wife. So you have to take that seriously, you young people who are growing up. If your culture is like that, then you have to take note of that and do the needful. Then we said it's an investment for the family of the bride. Such wealth provides support for the parents when they grow old. Of course, that depends on how it has been used. If it has been used constructively, then it will help the parents of the girl in old age. But there are those ones who will sell off everything immediately or after some time. So the parents may grow when there is nothing. Okay, we now look at the disadvantages or the abuse, and someone take us through. Esther?
So disadvantages or abuse of bride wealth. Why some people in modern society do not want bride wealth is what we are looking at. Greed for money makes bride wealth commercialized, where parents look at daughters as source of wealth. They therefore demand a lot of money or cows as bride wealth, seeming as if the girl is being sold as a property. It discourages young boys. Number two, it discourages young boys from marrying, especially when they cannot raise their money, cattle, goats, and others. This can lead to the girl to remain unmarried, thus resulting into prostitution. The husband may decide to mistreat his wife by overworking her, or to be even quarreling over nothing and beating her in order to compensate himself for what he paid. Bride price may bring about poverty, especially when the boy gives away almost what he has for the bride price.
Thank you, Esther. So greed for money. These days, bride wealth has been commercialized. Many parents see it as a source of wealth. They should benefit from their daughters. And so they ask for too much. And as a result, the girl is like property. And of course, when they marry, some of the men treat them as property. But it is because of what the parents asked for as they were getting married. This has brought about young boys being discouraged. Some people, some couples want to get married as soon as they have finished studies. But what do they have? They can't raise the money. They can't raise the cattle. They can't raise the goats that the parents of the girl may be demanding. So this means that girl is going to remain unmarried. And when the girl takes long to get to marry, then she may maybe result into prostitution, since there no one is going to bother her. Pay this, pay that. So the young boys get discouraged as the girls may, but the girls are likely to turn into prostitution. Then we are saying the husband may decide to mistreat the wife, overworking her, beating her, like he is compensating for what he paid. You know, when you press someone on the wall and you say, no, 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 we want 10 cows. Without them, this one does not leave our home. This girl will not leave our home. So the man looks left and right, gets loans, and once he clears what the girl's relatives have asked for, trouble sets in. He may start mistreating the wife as a payback for what the parents asked. Then 4, we are saying that may bring poverty, especially if the boy gives away almost what he has for the bride price. And indeed it happens. I've seen one on TV last month, I think, who said he paid so much, got loans, but right now he has even sold off his house. And the lady is nowhere to be seen. So it is really unfortunate that he's now bankrupt, and yet even the lady who made him be bankrupt is nowhere to be seen. Okay, let's read through the next slide. Who's reading for us the next slide? Yes, Regan.
Encourage men to practice polygamy since they can stand to pay bride price for any number of wives. It encourages young boys from marrying due to inability to afford it. This encourages prostitution and illegal cohabitation. Number 7, due to money, cattle, and other kinds of wealth given to the parents of the girl, some of them can be tempted to have their daughters married at an early age. Payment for bride wealth creates hatred between the two families, especially when the boy's family fails to pay the whole bride wealth. Some young men may choose to abandon marrying from their own tribes, which are
Rigid.
And expensive in preference to other tribes with flexible and affordable bride price.
Thank you, Regan.
Okay.
So there are those men who will marry more than one because it's a matter of paying and they have the resources. Then the young boys are discouraged from marrying due to inability to afford it. You can imagine if you have got your fiancé and then they tell you, you know what, you're from campus, you have just got a job, not even so well paying, but they tell you, you know, if you want a daughter, bring 20 cows, that kind of thing. You find that it will not work for you. You say, let me first work. And along the way, as you get the money, you'll even forget that you have to to pay bride wealth. So you'll find that some of them will end up cohabiting. They live together when they are not officially married. So people cohabit, then even start getting children when is the would-be husband has never gone to their home. And that is not good at all. So there are those parents who are tempted to marry off their daughters at a young age because they are interested in getting cows. You know, when some people say we are marrying off our daughter who is not yet even 18, simply because the man is going to give them things. I always ask now, when those things get over, what will happen? Is the man going to give them things throughout till they die? And that is not the case. So those ones who marry off their daughters at a young age, I think they have the wrong assumption. The man will bring things once and will not bring things forever. So therefore the poverty will remain unless the things that he has brought have been used constructively. Then we said it brings enmity or hatred between the two families. Now there are those families that are a bit flexible. They say, pay this, you bring the rest later. So they let you bring what you have, and then you bring the balance later. So if you take long, they can tell you, they can give you a certain period of time. So if that time elapses when you have not yet gone to take back what you agreed on, then the hatred may begin. They will not even want to see your husband. You will not be able to go and visit it at the girl's side simply because you have a date there. And then 9 says, young men may choose to abandon marrying from their own tribes. Yes, I've seen this happening. Someone says, I can't take a woman from our side because those people want ABCD and I cannot take that. So they always look for tribes that are a bit flexible and have affordable price. Someone read for us the next slide. What are you going to read for us? Yes, please. Please.
The demand for an expensive bride price leads to a wrong choice of a marriage partner.
Please, I can't hear you. Please, are you still there? Yes, Anthea. Seems this has gone off. Maria?
Disadvantages or the abuse of bride wealth. The demand for an expensive bride price leads to the wrong choice of a marriage partner. The young boy who fails to pay the bride price for a girl of his choice can be forced to marry another girl whom he could afford to pay for, though not of a preferred choice. The married young girl could be denied her due respect before her in-laws in revenge for the expensive bride price their son was made to pay. This may deny her to enjoy happiness in her marriage, since she lacks freedom of speech as she was paid for. The expensive bride price can force the young man to use illegal means to acquire the demanded bride price. This could involve him in robbery, embezzlement, fraud, and other forms of corruption. Payment of bride price breeds fear in the girl's family. In case the marriage breaks, that is the fear to pay back the bride price. Payment of bride price denies the marriage partners of genuine love and focuses more attention on wealth or money. Such sayings that you love me because of money are common today. It creates an inferiority complex of a woman before the man and discourages equality between the married couples.
Thank you, Maria.
Welcome, teacher.
So we are talking about wrong choice of a marriage partner. So if the one that you love cannot afford what your parents want, you may end up with another person whom he doesn't love, but because that one bride price is not so much like the one that you really. Then the young girl, you who goes to that home where the man was made to pay a lot.
Payment of bride was breeds fear in the girl's family in case the marriage breaks, that in the fear to pay back bride was.
Jane Francis,
Payment of
can
bride
you
price.
mute yourself? So you lack respect at the man's side. The relatives will not respect you simply because your people demanded for a lot. And of course, this one will deny the girl happiness in her marriage. She will not have freedom to do anything simply because she was paid before and a lot of money went along. Then the expensive bride price can make the young man go into illegal actions because the man wants to get the girl of her choice, will end up embezzling funds, committing fraud, engaging in illegal actions simply because he wants to get money, to raise money for the bride wealth that the parents of the girl asked for. And then we are saying that it breeds fear in the girl's family in case the marriage breaks up. There is that fear from the girl's side, because once you break up, then the bride wealth has to be taken back. That's why I told you you have to be careful. You tell your parents not to ask for too much. And then it denies the marriage cutting genuine love, since the focus will be on the wealth. So I was saying that the marriage partners may not have genuine love. The attention will be focused on the wealth or the money. That's where you see people today fighting over irrelevant issues. Someone says, you're after my money. Even when you're not after the money, when you have genuine love for that person. So people live genuine love and then they start looking at money, which is wrong. So then it creates an inferiority complex of a woman before the man. So now that the equality between the married couples will not be there, simply because your parents asked for too much. Can someone read for us this slide? Yes, Ruth?
The young man may continue to underlook the parents and relatives of the girl whom he views as greedy and poor. During negotiations, quarrels and exchange of bad words is common. It shows the highest degree of uncivilization, barbarism, and savages, among others. Haggling is too undemocratic and unnecessary. A man may take long to marry while looking for bride wealth and may produce a child at an old age that may not benefit much from the parents. It has led to elopement, which is irreligious. Sometimes the girls whose parents have become a burden end up playing sex and becoming pregnant to use this as an excuse to get married to their spouses. If after elopement the bride wealth set is big, the man may give up. In so doing, the young girl will have been sexually exploited, and if divorce takes place, neither the girl nor the father will benefit.
Thank you, Ruth. So, if the parents of the girl ask for too much, this young girl is going to underlook them. You will see them as greedy people. He will see them as people who are poor and they just want to make wealth out of him. So it is not good to ask for too much. Then in the case of any argument in the home, the quarrels, the exchange will be terrible. You may think that these two did not love each other, but it is all caused by the bride wealth, the too much bride wealth that was paid. So to avoid that, I think we need to sensitize our parents about it before they ask too much for too much. They have to know the consequences. Then a man may take too long to marry, you know, as you wait, let me first make money. You know, these days, marriage is expensive. Bride wealth is expensive. So by the time you know it, you're already growing old. So you start having children, and then the children, you don't even enjoy being with your children because you took too long to marry. Then we are saying that it has also led to elopement. Couples decide to run away. The girl runs away from their home and goes with that man who cannot pay bride wealth. And in the end, she becomes pregnant. So that is an excuse that I'm pregnant. Now that I'm pregnant, there is no way I can separate with this man. He has to take full responsibility. You know, that kind of thing. And we are saying that now even this elopement, it is not actually divorce, but separation. If you have eloped and then you separate, then no one benefits. The girl will have been exploited sexually, but even her parents will not have benefited. So it is better that you do things the right way.
Yeah.
Okay, we go to the next. Now solutions. And we have someone for us. Yes, Waswa.
Parents should be sensitized by religious leaders and teachers about importance of dowry and the dangers caused by overcharging, thus reducing overcharging and exploitation under the cover of bride of gift and love should
Have we lost you, Waswa? Waswa, we can't hear you. Yes, Charles?
Parents should be sensitized by religious leaders and teachers about the importance of dowry and the dangers caused by overcharging, thus reducing overcharging and exploitation under the cover of bride price.
Okay, so the possible solutions to the misuse of bride wealth. We are saying that our parents should be sensitized. We need the religious leaders to come in here to sensitize parents about the dangers that we have gone through.
Yes.
That may be caused because of the too much bride wealth. You go to number 2.
The virtue of the free giving and love should be cultivated among the people of God. Since girls are gifts from God, freely given to parents, this implies that girls should not be looked at as
Have we lost you, Charles? What were
Sorry,
you
man.
back? Okay, Charles is back. You can continue.
Christians from number 3.
Okay, let me explain number 2.
Okay.
Now we are saying that since girls are gifts from God given to parents, they should also have the virtue of free giving and love. It is not necessarily that you have to sell your girl, or the man has to pay to bring things in return. But they can come to you that they want to get married and you say, now I need nothing. I don't want anything. Then it's up to the man to give you whatever they can, but not necessarily saying I want A, B, C, D. Because there it's like you're treating your girl as property. Charles, you can go to number 3.
Okay. Christians should preach against exploitation and the dangers of bride price or wealth without fear or favor.
Yes, and when we say Christians, of course, to preach, we are meaning the religious leaders. They should talk about it without fear or favor, because in one way or another, some families exploit others.
Yes.
As they ask for a lot of bride wealth. Go to number 4.
Okay. Bride wealth should be returned to the couples to help them develop themselves after seeing the seriousness and commitment. Of the man and the commitment of the man towards marriage. This is very very evident among the Bakiga of southwestern Uganda and the Banyankore through the practice of kuhingira.
Kuhingira. Yes, you give back to your children what they can begin with in marriage. Not that you're taking everything, but once you agree, something is given back to the couple to begin. Number 5.
And wealth should be charged according to the ability of the boy to pay without serious difficulties, which may make him to get money in unchristian ways, such as corruption, stealing, among others.
Thank you, Charles. So let the parents of the girl give a choice to the boy to pay what he can manage, to bring what he can afford, so that he does not indulge into wrong acts or illegal acts in the name of looking for money for bride wealth.
Yeah.
Okay, the next slide.
Bride wealth should not be looked at as a tool to exploit others, but a way of commenting relationship. Hence, parents should have a positive attitude. towards the practices and stop exploitation of the son-in-laws.
Okay. So it should not be looked at as a tool to exploit others, but rather cementing the relationship. There should be a positive attitude towards the in-laws, the daughter-in-law and the sons-in-law, so that the marriage is based on love, on true love and agreement, instead of using it as a tool for exploitation. What's the next point?
It says, since bride price is paid as an appreciation, parents should recommend their children for church marriage before payment of bride wealth stroke price, to save them from the sin of fornication, because most young people hide in failure to pay bride wealth to continue with the practice of fornication or trial marriage.
So it should be better that people begin with the church marriage. If the bride wealth is too much, if we want to help the young people to avoid fornication or trial marriages where they go and cohabit, then let them first have the church marriage blessed by the parents, and then later on the man can pay bride wealth when he can afford it. I think that would be a better alternative than leaving the young couples to stay in sin. Okay, next.
The last one, number 8. It says, since girls know better their spouses, they should be given any opportunity to suggest the amount of bride wealth their spouses should be able to pay.
Charles, so do you accept that?
Yeah, I accept.
Because it favors you.
Yeah,
but
it
the girl
favors
might
because
ask for too much, even when he knows you can't afford.
of course, now I think she also knows how poor you are or how rich you are, so she knows better than maybe the parents of her side. Yeah, so she can be able to suggest how much you may be affording, or you cannot afford it completely.
Okay. So you are saying that girls should be given chance to make that decision of how much the man can bring, so that we avoid that too much. You know, some parents think that the boy has a lot. The fact that you want to marry, it means that you have a lot. So they said they expect much and so demand for much, yet it would not be the case. So if girls can be let to decide, they would decide according to the pocket of the boy, which is okay.
Yeah.
Okay, can we have someone read for us the last slide? Can we have someone to read for us the last slide? Yes, Lika. Unmute.
Parents should be sensitized about the dangers of forced marriage so that they may stop forcing their children to get married at an early age with the target of getting bride wealth. Since bride wealth is paid as an appreciation to the parents of girl, the young people should be given an opportunity to determine how much to pay and when. This will enable the young people to pay what they are capable of paying. Some cultures that require payment of bride wealth should be improved and adjusted to the modern standards. For example, the payment of bride wealth in terms of large heads of cattle among the Karamajons and Majakole should be adjusted as this leads to enslavement of the girl in a difficult marriage.
Thank you. So parents need to be desensitized about the dangers. That forced marriage, where they force a girl to get married in the hope of getting too much. So even when you get that too much, it may not last long. So the whole issue of getting a daughter married may flop. So we have to look at that also. If you are in your village, you see a couple forcing a young girl to get married, please, you talk to them, you sensitize them, or you report them, because they may not listen to you as a child, but you report them. We have seen many who have been good, marrying off their daughters forcefully. So that we have to agree, not that it is a parent's choice, since it is the girl going into that marriage. And then we say that since it is an appreciation, right from the start, we say that this is an appreciation given to the parents of the girl. Let the young couple determine how much and when to pay. By the way, they may want to pay too much, but because they may not be able to afford it that time when they want to marry. But they are willing to give in everything, to give a lot. But because of circumstances, by that time, they want to marry, but then they cannot afford. So if we can let these young people decide what to pay and when to pay it, or if the parents can allow them to pay in bits while they proceed with the marriage, with other procedures, it is okay. They can even first wed, like we said, and then bride wealth comes in later. So some cultures, especially the Karamojongs, by the way, if they gave you their cows and your daughter dies, you have to give them another one. Or if no, not that one, but if their son dies, when he had paid, he had given you the cows, then your daughter must get someone in that very family. You must get someone in that family to marry because their cows are still there with you. So for them, they see it as, inheritance. Even now, I even got surprised recently that they were talking about it. So I said, now these ones, what if the person dies of HIV what would happen? So that is them, and we are saying that at least such things should So we come to the end of our topic. We've not been able to go through other slides about logic and basically section B. We had logic, we had the comprehension, but time. So any question or any supplements? Anyone who wants to say something about Bridewell? No question? So I want to thank you all for attending. Oh, Maria?
Teacher, if they have given us the question and it is two-sided, okay, for example, they are asking for the advantages and disadvantages, okay, the good things and the bad things of bride price, but then they say that how to conclude, like how do you conclude in your conclusion after giving the advantages and disadvantages? How do you conclude?
You conclude by giving your opinion. You give your opinion about bride price, about Bridewell.
Okay,
all
teacher.
in all, or in conclusion, the two parties must agree, or parents must, anything of your choice. You give your opinion. After giving all these points, what do you think about bride price? That is what you conclude with.
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome, Maria. Okay. Yes, Waswa? Waswa, unmute.
If the question is like the possible solutions that give the possible solutions, misuse of bride price, you begin defining that topic, that like that bride price, that sentence, that frame.
Pardon?
If the question is saying the possible solutions to misuse bride price, do you have to begin defining bride price as in defining the main point, which is bride price?
Yes, you begin with that first slide. You begin telling us about Bridewell, how it came about and all that. The first two slides, actually. Then you give in your answer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Regan?
Okay. If the question is about Bridewell, you have to talk about dowry also.
No.
In definition.
You stick to what the question says.
Okay.
In the middle.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Is that all? Can we now have a closing prayer?
You can get the farmer.
Yes, I'm here.
This is not me, the part where you got that.
Let's humble ourselves for a prayer. Oh, kind and loving Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for today's session of learning. We thank you for empowering us, and we thank you for helping us to understand. We thank the Holy Spirit that has guided us through this lesson. We bless the teacher who has initiated her knowledge into us. We pray that, loving Father, we may always remember what she has taught us, and we may be able to pass our final exams. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Maria.
Welcome, teacher.
Thank you all for coming for the lesson. Nice time. Have a good evening and nice holidays. Bye-bye.